The first snowflakes were gently caressing the window of my cramped city apartment when I received the call from Alex. "It's happening this weekend. Are you in?" he asked, his voice crackling with excitement through the phone. The plan was simple yet thrilling. A weekend escape to an old wooden cabin nestled in the heart of the mountains, a place where time seemed to stand still, and the worries of the world melted away like snow in the spring sun. I packed my bag with the essentials: a heavy coat, thermal wear, a flashlight, some food supplies, and of course, a bottle of fine whiskey to share with friends around the fireplace. The journey to the cabin was a tale in itself. It began with a drive through winding roads, lined with trees heavy with snow, their branches bending under the weight like old men carrying the burdens of life. The city's noise faded into a distant hum, replaced by the serene silence of the winter wilderness. As I drove, my mind wandered back to the last time we had all been together at the cabin. It was a memory painted in hues of laughter, late-night stories, and the warmth of friendship that glowed brighter than the fiercest winter. That memory was the beacon guiding me through the increasingly dense snowfall as I neared the mountains. The final leg of the journey was to be made on foot. I parked my car at the base of the trail that led to the cabin. The snow was deep, and with each step, my boots sank into the white, pristine canvas of nature. The air was crisp, biting at my cheeks, a stark reminder of the season's unforgiving beauty. I trudged along the path, my breath forming small clouds of vapor in the cold air, my heart filled with anticipation. The cabin, a quaint structure of wood and stone, stood as a testament to the simpler times. It was a place disconnected from the world, a haven for weary souls seeking respite. As I approached the cabin, the golden glow of light from its windows pierced the twilight, casting long shadows on the snow. I could hear muffled laughter and music, the unmistakable signs of my friends already gathered there, reveling in the joy of reunion. I reached for the door, my hand trembling slightly. Not from the cold, but from the overwhelming sense of belonging and happiness. With a deep breath, I opened the door to the warm embrace of friendship, the cozy fire, and the beginning of what promised to be an unforgettable weekend in the winter mountains. As the door creaked open, the familiar faces of my friends illuminated by the flickering firelight greeted me. There was Alex, the ever-enthusiastic planner of our group, lounging on an old cushioned armchair, his eyes lighting up as he saw me. Beside him, Sarah and Mike were engaged in a spirited game of cards, their laughter echoing off the wooden walls. "Finally, the last missing piece of our puzzle," Alex exclaimed, rising to give me a hearty pat on the back. The warmth of the cabin enveloped me, chasing away the chill from my bones. I shed my coat and joined them by the fire, the flames casting a welcoming glow on our small gathering. The cabin was just as I remembered, rustic and cozy, with a large stone fireplace that served as the heart of the living area. Old photographs and handmade decorations adorned the walls, each telling a story of the many who had sought refuge here before us. We spent the evening reminiscing, sharing stories of our lives since we last met. The cabin had a way of stripping away the complexities of our daily lives, allowing us to reconnect on a deeper level. As the night deepened, we gathered around the fireplace, the crackling of the fire harmonizing with our voices. The conversation turned to tales of mountain legends and ghost stories, a tradition of ours. The flickering shadows on the walls seemed to dance with each eerie tale, adding a thrilling edge to our night. Mike, with his knack for storytelling, had use hanging on every word as he narrated a local legend about a mysterious figure that roamed the mountains, protecting the wildlife and guiding lost travelers. As the clock struck midnight, we decided to call it a night. The excitement of the day, coupled with the warmth of the cabin, had left us all feeling pleasantly drowsy. We retired to our respective rooms, the wooden floors creaking softly under our feet. I lay in bed, the silence of the mountains enveloping the cabin, a stark contrast to the constant noise of city life. The peacefulness was profound, almost tangible. As sleep began to claim me, I thought of the days ahead, filled with hiking, exploring, and making more memories with my friends in this winter wonderland. The next morning greeted us with a sky so clear and blue, it looked like a vast, unblemished canvas. After a hearty breakfast, we geared up for our first adventure. A hike to the summit of a nearby peak, known among locals for offering breathtaking panoramic views of the surrounding mountain range. The air was crisp and invigorating as we set out, our breaths visible in the cold morning air. The trail was blanketed in snow, untouched except for the occasional tracks of wildlife. We trudged through the snow, our spirits high, the beauty of the winter mountains, cape unfolding around us. As we ascended, the terrain became more challenging. The gentle slopes gave way to steeper inclines, and the snow grew deeper. Sarah, an experienced hiker, took the lead, her steps confident and sure. Mike, with his usual humor, kept our spirits up, cracking jokes and making light of the challenging climb. About halfway to the summit, we stumbled upon a clearing, a perfect spot to rest and take in the views. The valley below was a tapestry of snow-covered trees and frozen streams, a serene and untouched wilderness. We shared stories of past hikes and adventures, each tale adding to the rich tapestry of our friendship. As we neared the summit, the wind picked up, its icy fingers tugging at our clothes. The final push to the top was grueling, but the reward was worth every effort. The view from the summit was awe-inspiring, a 360-degree panorama of the majestic mountain range, with peaks that seemed to touch the sky. We spent some time at the summit, taking pictures and just soaking in the beauty of nature. It was moments like these, standing at the top of the world, that made all the challenges worthwhile. The descent was easier, though we had to be cautious of slippery spots. As the cabin came into view, a sense of accomplishment filled us. We had conquered the peak, but more importantly, we had created memories that would last a lifetime. That evening, back at the cabin, we celebrated our successful hike with a feast. Alex, the unofficial chef of the group, cooked up a storm, serving a meal that was both delicious and heartwarming. As we sat around the fire, our bodies tired, but our hearts full, we planned our next adventure. There was talk of exploring a nearby frozen lake, famous for its clear ice and the surreal experience of skating over it. The night deepened, and one by one we retired to our beds, the events of the day replaying in our minds. Tomorrow promised another day of adventure, laughter, and the simple joy of being together in the heart of the mountains. The morning sun cast a golden hue over the snow-covered landscape as we prepared for our next adventure, the frozen lake. The lake, nestled in a secluded spot a few miles from the cabin, was famed for its crystal-clear ice and the surreal experience of skating over its frozen surface. We packed our gear, including skates for those brave enough to venture onto the ice, and set out. The hike to the lake was less arduous than the previous day's climb, but no less beautiful. The forest was alive with the sounds of nature, the chirping of birds, the rustling of trees, and the distant echo of a waterfall frozen in time. As we approached the lake, the trees parted to reveal a vast expanse of ice, stretching out like a mirror reflecting the winter sky. The lake was a breathtaking sight, its surface smooth and unblemished, surrounded by snow-laden trees and rocky outcrops. We approached the edge cautiously. Alex, ever the cautious one, tested the ice's thickness with a drill. "Safe to skate," he announced with a grin, and one by one, we laced up our skates and stepped onto the lake. The sensation of skating on the lake was exhilarating. The ice was so clear that we could see the dark depths of the water below, creating an illusion of floating on air. Sarah, an adept skater, glided effortlessly, her laughter echoing across the lake. Mike, a bit less graceful on the ice, provided comic relief with his exaggerated movements and occasional slips, which were met with good-natured chuckles from the group. We spent hours on the lake, playing impromptu games of ice hockey, racing each other, or simply skating in leisurely circles, taking in the serene beauty of our surroundings. The experience was almost meditative, a moment of pure joy and freedom in the heart of nature. As the day waned, we gathered on the shore, lighting a small bonfire to warm ourselves. The setting sun painted the sky in shades of orange and purple, casting a magical glow over the lake. We shared stories and hot drinks, basking in the warmth of the fire and the company of friends. That night, as we made our way back to the cabin under a sky full of stars, there was a sense of deep contentment among us. We had shared an experience that transcended the ordinary, a memory that would be etched in our hearts forever. Back at the cabin, we settled into our now familiar routine. A hearty meal, conversations by the fireplace, and plans for the next day's adventure. The frozen lake had been a highlight of our trip, a testament to the wonders of nature and the joy of experiencing them with friends. Our final day at the cabin dawned with a bittersweet feeling. The mountains, blanketed in the soft morning light, seemed to beckon us for one last adventure. But we knew our time in this winter wonderland was drawing to a close. After a leisurely breakfast, we decided to spend the day closer to the cabin, exploring the nearby woods and enjoying the simple pleasures of the snowy landscape. We embarked on a gentle hike, our footsteps the only sound in the peaceful quiet of the forest. The hike was reflective, with each of us savoring the moments and the beauty around us. We talked less, lost in our thoughts, contemplating the experiences of the past few days. The laughter, the challenges, the shared meals, and stories by the fire. Each had woven a thread into the tapestry of our friendship, strengthening bonds that would last a lifetime. In the afternoon, we returned to the cabin and began the task of packing up. There was a sense of reluctance as we folded away clothes, cleaned up the living space, and put away the remnants of our stay. The cabin had become more than just a shelter in the mountains. It had been a home to our laughter, our stories, and our shared dreams. Before leaving, we gathered one last time by the fireplace. Alex proposed a toast to the mountains, to the cabin, and to us, friends who had come together in this magical place. We raised our glasses, the firelight reflecting in our eyes, each of us silently acknowledging the special memories we were taking back. As we locked the cabin door and made our way to the cars, there was a sense of fulfillment mixed with the inevitable sadness of departure. We promised to return, to once again seek the solace and joy of the mountains and the cabin. And so, our winter adventure came to a close, not just as a chapter in our lives, but as a story that would be retold and cherished for years to come.